Are you dating like it's your job? I have this conversation with a lot of my clients on a regular basis that are out in the dating world. They're very successful in the business world, but when they get out in the dating world, they seem to fumble. They seem to stumble over the words, or they can't figure out what they're talking about, or how to approach a woman, or how to approach a man. So a lot of my clients are high achieving individuals, and they're trying to figure out, why can't I find a good woman, or why can't I find a good man? And we talk about it all the time in sessions, and it comes down to this. Are you dating like it's your job? If it can work in sales, it can work in dating. And I want you to think about this for a second. If it can work in sales, it can work in dating. Why? We're all successful business people. People that I see are very successful in creating their own companies or working for a lot of different corporations and leading thousands of people. But when it comes to their personal lives, it's sometimes in shambles, and we just need to refocus it. Dating is a job, and you need to focus on it like it is work. So let's break that down today, how that looks like for individuals that are sales driven. So when we talk about our personal brand, for instance, our companies have websites, they have social media accounts, and they all look fantastic and they're all professional and things like that. Why isn't our Instagram account look professional? Why doesn't our social media like Facebook and Instagram or TikToks all look professional? If we're trying to sell ourselves, the first thing that we do is our online presence. That's when somebody goes and searches our name, what comes up? When's the last time you Googled your name to see what actually popped up? I'm sure you'd be surprised to see some of the other crap and bullshit and garbage that is attached that you didn't even know existed out there and needs to be addressed or whatever else. So understand what that looks like. So that's the personal brand. The second thing you need to do is we have non-negotiable. What am I going to settle for and what am I not going to settle for? In the business world, what company do I want to work with and what company don't I work with? Do their morals and branding align with what we're looking to do, or doesn't it align? Do they have a social impact or something they want to specifically talk about? Is that somebody I want to do business with, or that's somebody I don't want to do business with? And that's the same thing in dating. What are some of the non-negotiables? Hey, if you don't want to date somebody with kids, that's okay. That's your prerogative. You don't have to date somebody with kids. If you don't want to date somebody that has been married 3 times, don't date them. That's your prerogative. If you don't want to date somebody that doesn't make, X amount because you have a certain lifestyle, that is absolutely your prerogative. And don't let anybody tell you differently. But you just need to outline what those non-negotiables do, so you have a list of what you want to do. It's just like having a list of people you want to do business with. Let's talk about lead generation a little bit. We hear that term all the time in the business world, but it truly means the same thing in the dating world. We need to have a lead funnel. And with our lead funnel, how do we make sales? We have all these leads up here that funnel down to the one that we actually want. So it's the same thing in dating. We need to make sure when we're going out, that we are dating a lot of individuals. We're trying to figure out who we want to, what sales we want to close and so on and forth. And if we're not going to be able to find that one if we don't actually go out, because if you go out with one date, you think that's the person it's going to be, you're unfortunately mistaken. It's not how it's going to be. You need to go out and put yourself out there. You need to date. That is your dating profile. When you go out there, is it generic or does it specifically talk about you? Because the more specific it is, the more likely you're going to narrow down your sales funnel to find the specific person that you're looking for. Guys, if you don't like sports or you do love sports, doesn't matter. But if it's in your profile, then you're going to find somebody. But if you date a girl that doesn't like sports and you do, it's never going to work. If you like to travel and you try to find a woman who you connect with, but she doesn't like to be on airplanes, never going to work. And it's the same thing, vice versa. So make sure your profiles are as specific as they can be. Let's talk about the pipeline and the conversations that we're having. I hear these guys and they're like, oh yeah, I scheduled this dinner and it was for 3 hours long. And I'm like, dude, do you want to be in an interview? When you have an interview with a new person, do you want to be in there for 3 hours? No, you want to be in there 60 to 90 minutes. You want to be able to have good conversation and determine whether it is good or bad. You want to have a way out just in case it is a train wreck. You want to be able to leave if you can. I hate when people say coffee dates suck, but it's an initial interview. It's a great way to just sit with somebody for an hour and schedule that time from 1 to 2 p.m. We're going to have a coffee date. And we're going to get to know each other and determine whether we want to move to the second level or to the next stage in the process. It's simple. It's not being cheap. It's not being anything. It is engaging with that individual to find it out. Again, we're looking at it from a business standpoint, not anything else. So when you leave that first date, schedule the second date if you want to. How many times do we lead a sales call and say, hey, I'm going to get you on the calendar for next Friday to make sure we're locked in? We say it all the time in business. Why don't we say it in the dating world? It's absolutely the same thing. So if you enjoyed that date with that individual, with that male or female, or whomever you were with, then say, hey, I really enjoyed this date. I would love to lock something in for next Friday. Are you available? What time works for you? Outstanding. Boom, boom, boom. You both put your phones out. You send a calendar invite, whatever works for you. but it's there. So again, the pipeline and the conversation is the same. Let's talk about objections. We get them all the time in the sales world. We get an objection that talks about, well, the price is too high or this or that. In the dating world, it's pretty simple. If you get somebody who ghosts you, absolutely enjoy that rejection, because that means that you don't have to hire that person, employee, let them ride for 9 months and find out that they weren't a good fit. If they want to ghost you now, that tells you the type of skills that they have to be able to communicate with you. And you don't need that kind of stress, and you don't need those kind of people in your life. So let them move on. Peace out. Don't care. It's all on you. So if that's what you want to do, that's an easy objection to overcome. Don't need you. Let's talk about touch points. If the date went well, tell them it went well. If the momentum's fading, figure out why the momentum's fading. We're too old for this shit. Just ask the damn question. All right. Why do you think momentum's fading? I don't know. It could be A, B, C, or D, or I don't like the way you communicate, or I don't like this. If you can build that trust and that bond, just like you do with your clients, you're upfront with your clients. If you're not delivering, this is why we're not delivering, A, B, C, D. If your client's not living up to your expectations, or your supplier's not living up to expectations, hey, I need you to step up this game. I need you to step do this, and I need you to do this. I need you to meet my expectations. Expectation 1, expectation 2, and expectation 3. We do it in the business world. We can do it in the dating world. I really like you. I want to continue to do business with you. I want to have a relationship with you. Let's step up that game. This is what I need. 1, 2, and 3. I didn't even know I was doing that. My apologies. Let me fix that. Let's move on. So yeah, touch points are fantastic when you're moving through the dating and the relationship game. One of the biggest things that I always tell my clients, it's okay to take a break. When you're feeling stressed out at work, you check out for a day, you go golfing, you take some PTO and take that personal time off to refresh and regroup. Why can't you do it in dating? Why do you have to continuously go, 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 go? It's okay to take a break. If you've done 3 dates this week and 3 dates last week and you aren't finding anybody, take a break this week. Take some time for yourself. I did a video that you need to check out. And if you haven't, it's fantastic. It talks about it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to make time for yourself. It's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to want to do better for yourself, but you're the only one that's going to be able to do it for yourself. So you have to go out and ask for it. And you're the one that's going to have to go out and prioritize your own health. So if you don't think the dating's working for you, take a break. If you think that things are even going well, or they're, and you still want to take time for yourself, communicate it. Don't just go ghosting for a couple days or disappear for a couple days and leave the other person on red or whatever else. Communicate. If your supplier, if you were to ask your supplier and say, hey, what's going on with that shipment? And they didn't contact you for 4 days, you'd fucking lose your mind. You would email them, you would blow them up and everything else like that. We're not doing that in the dating game, but we are communicating and still asking the questions that need to be asked so that we can stay on the levels that we want. Again, it's about respect. If you want to respect that person, they're going to give you respect back. If that person doesn't give you the respect back that you deserve, then that goes up to your non-negotiables. And guess what? At the end of the day, you said it, you determine it. But communicate it. Hey, you know what? I don't think this is working. I really appreciate your time. I wish you the best and good luck. But it needs to be communicated just like we do at work. So when we overview this again, when we talk about dating and we look at it from a business standpoint, let's talk about it. The stages of the sales game. Prospecting, well, that's swiping, and that's the initial matches. What we want to measure, we always look for measurables. It's the match to message ratio. If your matches and your messaging and your ratio is not very good about responding, that means you need to change your message. You need to work on that. So that's how we improve. We use those KPIs, those key performance index measurements so that we do them in business. Let's use them for ourselves too. We have discovery calls, texting, phones, message, schedule the first dates. What does your engagement look like? If you get somebody's number and you start texting them and they just ghost you, and that happens on a regular basis, then we need to look at the messaging. Again, look at the KPIs. What is your close ratio on that? If the close ratio isn't very good, then we need to change our close, the way we close on the sale. So again, it's a great way to measure how we're doing. Product demo, first date, check the vibe. If the vibe is good, then things are good. If the vibe is off, don't force it. Tell them you had a great time and that it's just not going to work out. Look at your first to second date ratio. I have so many clients that are like, oh, the first 2 dates go great, but it's the third and fourth date. All right, let's back that up. Let's process. What are you doing during those 2 dates that are enjoyable? Or what are you doing after those 2 dates that people say, you're a fucking lunatic, or this dude's insane, or what's going on? Are you text bombing? Are you love bombing? Or does your communication look a little bit different? So looking at those KPIs and those measurements to see where we could better ourselves is fantastic. The proposal and trial. When we look through the sales stages, Exclusive dating. That's when you tell the other person that, hey, I want to be exclusive. I only want to date you. But you don't do it in the first week. You don't do it after the first date. You don't do it in the first month. You do it when the two of you are ready to have the conversation. You need to bring that conversation up and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I understand if you feel differently, but this is what I would like to do. When you get to that point and you have those conversations, look at your retention and your alignment. Again, when we talk about it from a business standpoint, what is our retention rate? What is our churn rate? What are we doing to hold on to these people? What are we churning? If we get it, we talk to somebody in the first month and say we want to be in a serious relationship, and after the third month, we've already churned them out and we're back to the entire start of this process again. Let's take a look back and see what happened between those first and third months. Were we so engaged and so happy and everything was great, and then it started to fade because we're past the honeymoon stage and things got real and shit got real? And we started having real conversations like adults. Did that scare you? Then let's talk about that and why it bothered you so that we can get you prepared for the next relationship. But guys, girls, individuals, dating is just like business. Dating is a job. We need to treat dating like a job because as high achieving individuals, we're hyper focused on the business world. So why not take that mindset and that frame and put it into the dating? Now, emotion absolutely needs to go into dating. But how many times have you closed a deal that you were emotional about in the business world? Everybody says business isn't personal. Fuck, it isn't. I'm going to tell you right now, with the way things are changing in advertising, everything is AI generated and consumers are not going to know what's real and what's not real. So what do we need to go back to? We need to go back to that humanistic touch, that the reality. That's the same thing in dating. We're going to do that. We want to create that human bond. We want to create that connectiveness. We want to create whatever it is that you guys have with that other individual so that you can say, hey, this is working. But yeah, break down the sales stages. Look at yourself. I have so many clients come in and they say, I've had 10 first dates, but I can't get a second date. Well, let's evaluate what happened on the first date. Let's look at those KPIs. Let's key performance measurements and see what's going on. Oh, I'm only attracting these type of women. All right, well, let's look at what your online profile looks like. Let's look at what your branding looks like. These are the things that separate you from being a high achieving individual and just looking like the schmuck that lives next door. And if you're attracting women that the schmuck next door would date, then that's why, because your profile is what it is. It's no different than if you run a high-end business and you're only attracting shitty clients and you can't figure out why, but you look at your advertising and you're advertising at $29,995 special, but your normal rate is $400, then of course you're going to get bullshit clients. It's the same thing in the dating world. Know your worth. Do not discount your worth for anything less because it's going to bite you in the ass. It does every time in business. It's going to do it in dating. If you think that you are an individual that's high achieving here and you're going to date somebody down here, unfortunately, she is not Cinderella and you are not Richard Gere and Pretty Woman. Does it work? Yes. But the reality is there's so many conflicts of interest that are going to come across. It's going to be tough. So many people don't know how to go to the country club and act, or they do take them to the country club and they embarrass you. I'm not saying don't date below, but again, set your negotiation points, set your expectations, set what you deserve, not what you want. So don't settle for less. Don't try to eat at the all-you-can-eat buffet when you're normally eating at the Capitol Grill. You're going to be sorely disappointed. So why set yourself up for failure and why set yourself up for disappointment now? Dating is a job. Look at dating like your career and you will be successful. Break it down just the way you did when you made your first million. Break it down when you got that first job. Look at what you did. Look at those successes. Build upon them. Do the same thing in dating. Look at what got you the first date. Look what you got to the third date. Look what you got in that 9-month relationship. If they worked out, fantastic. If they didn't, look back and figure out what you can do to make yourself better for the next person going forward, because you're eventually going to find your forever person. There is somebody out there for everybody. I 100% believe that. I 100% agree, but we just have to be dialed in with each other and be ready to accept it and be mentally stable to accept it. So if you like this video, hit the button below. If you want to hear more content like this video that has to do with dating, counseling, life coaching, and corporate wellness, subscribe to this channel. I'm going to create so much more content that you won't know if we're coming or going, but it doesn't matter because you're going to be learning from everything that we put out there. And finally, please leave a comment if this is something that you want to learn more about or would love to hear about, or if there's something else we can do better. Would love the feedback. I will respond to each individual post. And finally, if you have a friend that could definitely benefit from this, please hit that little arrow to send it that way so you can share it with them. Again, I'm Chris Kourtakis. I am a licensed therapist. I am a life coach, and I am a wellness coordinator that works with Fortune 500 companies